So what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you guys can tell, we're making an updated video on the 10-inch screen that we previously installed on the 2014 Silverado. We've had it for around 2 months now and it's been pretty good. So it's finally time to tell you guys the ups and downs about the screen. A lot of people have sent me messages over on Instagram telling me about the radio and problems that they ran into. So it's finally time to get into that as well. So the first thing that I want to get into is that they recently just changed the bezel on the radio, so it's a little bit different. You don't need to modify it anymore in order to make the AC controls work. They fixed that issue, but there are some gaps that are still along the sides of the radio and as well as underneath, so it's not perfectly flush. But you don't need to modify anything in order to make the AC controls work, as I had previously done before. I recently, or not recently, like a month ago, after having that radio, I purchased it because people were letting me know that they didn't have any issues with the bezel on the AC controls. So I ended up purchasing it, and yeah, it ended up being fixed. One thing that it ended up changing though is that the buttons on the new radio are a little bit different because they're not as bright as the old ones. I did a little digging. I took apart the radio and compared the two, the old one and the new one. The buttons on the old one, the plastic that they had on the buttons were a little more translucent. They made the LEDs in the back glow a little bit more. I thought at first that the LEDs were a little bit different. Maybe they used a different LED, cheaper LED, and that is not the case. They use the same LED, but the plastic on the buttons are different. So the one on the new one is a little bit less translucent. They give less of a glow to the LEDs. If you see my original video, the LEDs or the buttons look really good. In the daytime, you can tell that they're on. People that bought the radio after the fact that I made the video, they have the updated version. So the LEDs aren't as bright as they were in my video. So the buttons are a little bit different. They're not as bright as they used to be. And I currently have the old buttons in the new radio because I had both. And I just swapped over the old buttons to the new one. And that fixed the issue. At first, I was gonna swap the LEDs over, like the little motherboard that's behind the radio. And I compared them and they ended up being the same. So I didn't change it, and I kept my old buttons on the new one. So I think I'm the only one that has the bright buttons and the new screen. But for a cheap radio, I mean, it's not cheap, it's like around $200, but compared to like buying OEM parts and stuff like that, getting programmed, you're looking upwards to like 500, 600, 800, 700. You're looking up to like that price. So it's not bad, because if you just want Apple CarPlay, I think it's a really good upgrade. But you know, it's not consistent with everything that they've put out. It seems like they fixed one thing, but another thing came up, so it's not consistent. And the next thing that I want to talk about is a setting that they have on the radio, is that it drained the battery of my truck, like completely drained it, to where I jumped the truck, and as soon as I jumped it, it ended up dying as soon as I took off the jumper cables. As soon as I took them off, the truck just shut off because it was that drained. The radio ended up draining my battery really bad, and there's a setting that I'm going to show you guys in a second, but you need to swap it over because I think it turns on the screen whenever you're not inside of the truck. Like if you don't drive the truck, I didn't drive the truck for like I think a week, ended up draining because I think it has a setting, it says something about 3 days, but as soon as I changed that setting, my truck was completely fine and I didn't have any issues with that. And I did notice that, you know, once I turn off my truck, the screen tends to remain in the same spot. So if we leave it on Apple CarPlay, or let's say we're watching a YouTube video, right, and we turn off the truck and we leave it for like 2 minutes and turn the truck back on, the screen is still in the same place that we left it. So I don't think that the stereo is saving the screen or the history of it. I think that the screen is just not turning off. That would happen, like you would turn off the truck and you would come back later and turn it back on. It would be in the same spot that you left it. Like it wouldn't reboot or anything like that. It wouldn't pop up the logo for like, you know, booting up, and that kind of worried me at first, and I was right, ended up draining the battery. So I'm gonna show you guys the setting right here. You need to change it in order for you not to drain your battery. So in order to fix that one setting, you have to go into car settings, I believe. Car settings, we gotta go to factory, click 0000, your password until it gets filled in, and then you have to scroll down, standby options, click this, click never on standby. When you go to the setting, for me it was on both of the screens, the old one and the new one both had this setting on, and it was this one right here, and it was on that's how it was. So cold start after 3 days. So what I think happens is that every 3 days, if the radio isn't turned on or whatever, the radio turns on by itself. So I think that it was draining my battery, and just set it to never standby, and it fixed the whole issue. I haven't had my battery drain like that once I changed that setting right there. And then the fourth thing that I want to talk about is the sound quality of the stereo. A lot of people were worried that it was going to be like really bad and that the screen was going to be messing up the factory settings and stuff like that. I mean, it's true, it's not going to sound the same, but if anything, it sounds louder, because if you guys didn't know, the OEM screen has restrictions and it makes it a little bit less loud in order not to blow the speakers. Upgrading it or changing the radio will definitely make your speakers sound louder, but you do run a risk of blowing the speakers. Depending of how old your truck is, the speakers might blow sooner than normal. So if you have upgraded speakers, I don't think you should be worried, but you know, you should know your limits whenever you're messing with the settings on it. And it's not too much. You don't need to mess with the settings too much in order to make it sound good. They already have some preloaded settings that you can just, you know, click on, and then you'll have like an enhancement to the sound. And I already, you know, have that on the truck. But you can also play with the digital DSP. You can blow your speakers, but just be careful you're not doing too much with it. But it does make the sound quality a lot better in my opinion, and a lot louder. Me, I don't care about blowing the speakers because I don't plan on keeping those speakers. But if you're planning to keep those speakers, let's say you have a Bose sound system or whatever, regardless, those speakers aren't even good to begin with. Just know that don't put too much, you don't need too much bass. That's what will really blow your speakers, is like putting a lot of bass into the speakers. I have mine on low. I think that's perfectly fine, and everything else is perfectly fine as well. So you don't need to mess with it a lot in order to make it sound good. Just know that it sounds better than factory in my opinion. And even with Apple CarPlay, I don't hear anything messing with the audio. So I don't hear any whining, any hissing kind of noise. I don't hear any of that. So yeah. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is that somebody messaged me about being able to connect Bluetooth only and not Apple CarPlay, and the truth is that you can do it, but is it worth it? Not really, because if you play the Bluetooth audio, if you go to the app and just click play or whatever, it's still gonna play the same noise that's coming from the Apple CarPlay. So there's no difference in audio quality, and the only thing that changes is really the screen menu of Apple CarPlay or the Bluetooth setting, and there's no real difference between both of them. So if you guys are planning to just use Bluetooth with it, I mean, you can, but if you have Apple CarPlay, then you should just do it. I mean, sometimes it gets laggy, yeah. There's no real difference to the audio. The screen, I'm talking laggy, I'm talking about like the delay in the screen, the reaction time, the feedback time on the Apple CarPlay is not the touchiest or the best, but it still looks better than factory in my opinion. And that's not like I'm messing with it. A lot of times I change it on my phone. You can still change it on the Apple CarPlay. That's not like a big deal. But if you want something a little more snappy, you're gonna spend a little more money. So that's the only thing that really works, is the Apple CarPlay and the Bluetooth. If you try to use USB or the aux with it, I don't think it even has an aux, but if you try to use the USBs still don't work for me. I try to upload a background or a new logo whenever you turn on the truck. I try to upload that through a USB, and the stereo just does not want to read the USB whatsoever. It doesn't want to read the phone. It doesn't pull out any media from it. It's like it wants to, but it can't. In general, it's, in my opinion, it's really bad. Like, I don't like it at all. That the fact that the USBs are there for an option, they shouldn't even be an option. They gave me my hopes up. They brought my hopes up. So I didn't like that because it didn't really help me out at all. And I emailed them and they gave me like a few tips, like just plug it into the 4-pin USB or like the 6-pin, or like, I know what they're talking about, but it doesn't work. It does not work for whatever reason. It doesn't work for me. Maybe it works for Android. I have the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Maybe it's taking too much battery. It just doesn't work for whatever reason. I'm gonna try again maybe in the future, but it doesn't work for whatever reason. The USBs just don't work. I try to put in a USB if it can pull out media through it, maybe a song or two. It doesn't work for whatever reason. It just doesn't work. But I rely on that. If you're gonna plan on charging your phone with it, first of all, I wouldn't even tell you to charge your phone with the stereo, aftermarket stereo, or any stereo in fact, because I just don't like making the screen overwork itself. It's already doing stuff with the sound. If you're making sound adjustments, you're putting the stereo more to work, you know what I mean? So you increase your risk of blowing a fuse, which is not really an issue. You can just change it, but I don't like to overwork a stereo. Even if it's a cheap one or an aftermarket one that's really good, I wouldn't do it. If it's not OEM, I wouldn't risk putting my phone charging, first of all, because it's slow and you're just overworking the stereo for no reason. So that's something to keep in mind about the radio. If you're going to use it to charge your phone and stuff like that, I wouldn't recommend it at all, because you're going to overwork the screen or overwork the stereo, and it's just not worth it. It's going to be slow. It's going to charge your phone slow. But for me, it just doesn't work. I mean, it works, but it doesn't work. So I wouldn't count on it. It does it really slow. So don't rely on that either. Last thing that I want to talk about is that it glitched out on me one time, and only one time, and I think it's because the weather was super hot. The stereo gets hot pretty quick. If you're using the DSP, if you're using the DSP in specific, it will get hot. So what I ended up doing is buying some mini heat sinks and putting them on the back of the screen, and I bought them off Amazon. I'll leave a link down below. I would recommend them for any stereo. It's a quick solution I found on YouTube. Just these little stick-on heat sinks that go on the back of the stereo, and ended up working perfectly fine. It reduces the heat on the stereo and it helps it out, in my opinion. I put like 6 of them on the back just to be, you know, just in case, and plus they're small, so 6 of them wasn't overload, you know what I mean? And the stereo doesn't come with a fan on the back of it. Other screens do. Other stereos aftermarket, they come with the whole fan in the back just to keep it cool, but this one does not. So that's why I ended up putting those mini heat sinks in the back to make just the temperature a little bit cooler. But it did glitch out on me one time, and it's because I think I was trying to do too much. I was calling my friend and I was trying to FaceTime him, and then I was trying to call him, FaceTime him, and I don't think that Apple CarPlay could handle that. I was trying to do it back and forth, and then it ended up just freezing on me. It reset itself, but it didn't, it just kept loading, and I think it just overloaded itself because it was how hot it was, and I don't know. It just happened to me one time, but after that, it hasn't happened to me. I've been on the road for like 2 hours max with the radio. Nothing has happened. And that day, I don't think I was on the road for more than 2 hours. I don't know what happened, but it hasn't happened since, and I haven't blew a fuse since. So yeah. Now, a lot of people have been asking me a few questions in the comments below, Instagram, DMing me. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to you, but a lot of people have been asking me where I got the radio, and that's on Amazon. A lot of people have been asking me about the backup camera. The backup camera, I have no idea how to do it. I've never done it, and I still haven't installed it on my truck. I will do it in the future, but I just haven't done it, you know. I haven't done it. So another thing that people ask me is why the screen doesn't turn on whenever they install it. I've had a few people message me that whenever they install the screen or the radio, it didn't turn on. And the only thing that I can say is like check the fuse. If you're plugging stuff in where it doesn't need to go in, some people watch my video every step, every step, and it just didn't work for them. So the only thing I can say is just return it and try to get another one. You can always return it. You don't need to pay anything to return it. You can just return it if you get it from Amazon. I wouldn't tell you guys to get it from AliExpress because that would probably take a lot longer. So if you guys want to get it from Amazon. I have a link down in the description. I don't know if it's sold out. They've sold it out, and I think that we did that. At the end of the day, guys, if the screen doesn't turn on and you did everything you could, sometimes it's not gonna work. If you check the fuse and it's not blown, and you gave it a little bit time, because it does take a little bit time in order to turn on. At first it doesn't want to turn on. If you turn the ignition all the way on and then it doesn't turn on, give it less than a minute and it doesn't turn on, I'd say, you know, double check all your connections, make sure everything is plugged in accordingly. And sometimes you think that you did something right, in reality you didn't do it right at all. So just double check, and if it still doesn't work, just return it and get another one. I don't know what the quality is right now. As I said before, quality to me has seemed to be inconsistent, just because, you know, at first the AC controls didn't work, and then now the AC controls work, but then they changed the plastic they use on the buttons, and the LEDs, you can barely tell that they're on even in the nighttime. I don't know. If you guys really want to get the radio, it's going to be in the link in the description. And if you guys, you know, want us to help out on everything that we got going on, we're doing a speaker giveaway. So if you guys bought the radio and you want to upgrade your system a little bit more, we're doing a speaker giveaway. If you guys didn't know, we're giving away 4 Apocalypse speakers. We're giving the winner a list of Apocalypse speakers to choose from. All you have to do is go to shopye.com, cop a decal, and you're entered. So thank you to everybody that's joined. A lot of people have joined using double entry, triple entries, which is insane to me. So thank you to everybody that's been joining the giveaway. I'm gonna try to wrap it up by the end of this month, so if you guys could help us out and finish this giveaway, because I want to finish this giveaway as soon as we can. Yeah, as you guys can tell, we don't have that many followers and subscribers, so you guys' chances of winning are pretty high. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been showing so much love to every video that we upload and every post that we post on TikTok, Instagram, everything that we do. Thank you to everybody that's been supporting us, and we got a lot of videos coming. Another radio is going to be installed on the Gen 5 single caps. You guys want to stay tuned to that. We're upgrading that one to a bigger one, so it's going to be pretty exciting if you guys want to stay tuned for that. And other than that, thank you to everybody that's been watching the videos. Yeah, thank you to everybody that's been watching every video and stuff like that. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions, leave them down below. I try to reply to everyone as best as I can. And I appreciate everybody that's watched this video. Thank you for everybody that's been watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.